The sound of the front door slamming shut echoed through Nia's chest like a thunderclap. The damp evening wind brushed against her face, but it did little to soothe the burning sting on her cheeks, still slick with tears. Behind the door, her husband Darius's voice erupted once more. "I told you to get out!" "Don't make me repeat myself." Nia stood frozen, her brown hands trembling, her body feeling hollow, as if all her strength had drained away in one exhale. She had nothing, no purse, no money, nothing at all. Even the sandals on her feet were the oldest pair in the house, ones she should have discarded months ago. From inside, her mother-in-law stepped forward, her gaze sharper than a blade. "Do you think this is a hotel? Staying here as you please, mooching off us?" she spat. "Now that my son has seen what you really are, what are you going to do?" She waved her hand dismissively, like shooing away a stray dog. "Get lost." "You don't belong here." Nia tried to swallow, but her throat felt like sandpaper. "Mama, you—" The words caught, unfinished. The mother-in-law cut her off brusquely. "Is that clear?" Darius sighed harshly, as if eager to end the ordeal. "Nia, I'm tired. I've wanted to say this for a long time. You're nothing but a burden. I can't stand living like this anymore." A burden. The word struck Nia like a physical blow. For years, she had tried to be the perfect wife, enduring her mother-in-law's barbs, ignoring Darius's growing indifference. She remembered how, after her mother's death, Darius had promised to protect her. "I will protect you in your mother's place," he'd said, his voice once strong and warm. Now it felt like a cruel joke. Clutching the hem of her shirt, Nia pleaded for a sliver of mercy. "Darius, we can talk about this properly." Instead, he lifted his chin cynically. "Did you hear me? I said get out." Before she could respond, her mother-in-law surged forward and shoved her shoulder. It wasn't a violent push, but enough to make Nia stumble back. "Don't embarrass my son anymore," she said coldly. "Just go. You're still alive. Be grateful for that." The door slammed shut. From inside, the deadbolt clicked without hesitation, like a judge's gavel sealing her fate. Nia stood in stunned silence for seconds that stretched like hours. The world around her muted. Even the distant hum of cars faded against her pounding heart. She glanced at the house one last time, the place she'd cleaned daily, where she'd hoped for love. Now it looked alien, soulless. A tremor shook her breath as she stepped off the porch. One step, two, her body wavered. She paused at the fence for support, but only bitter reality greeted her. She was utterly alone. Nia began walking. The small street in front of her home, once familiar for grocery runs, now felt like an endless tunnel. Her worn shoes bit into her soles, and the wind carried the promise of rain. Darkness descended, neighbors' porch lights flickering on one by one. Laughter from a nearby black family behind a fence sliced through her like a knife. She hugged herself against the cold and emptiness. "How did I get here?" Her voice was a whisper amid sobs. "What did I do wrong?" She tried recalling what sparked Darius's outburst that day, but it blurred. His attitude had shifted long ago, late nights, cold words. Yet she'd never imagined being cast out like this, without explanation or chance. At a corner, the street grew lonelier. A broken streetlight cast long shadows, amplifying the alienation. Her stomach twisted, not from hunger alone, but fear. "Where do I go now?" she whispered to the void. No answer came. Nia pressed on, each step heavier, the chill seeping into her bones. She hugged herself tighter, containing the chest pain. The first raindrop hit her dark cheek. Tear or rain, she couldn't tell. More followed, until the sky unleashed. Rain soaked her hair and clothes, making her shiver, but she didn't move. In that moment, she felt like a nobody. "Should I go back?" "No, they don't want me. That house isn't home anymore." With rain mingling her sorrow, Nia moved again. She didn't know her destination, but a chapter had ended with rejection's slam. Her slow steps persisted because, broken as she was, she couldn't stop, not tonight. Unbeknownst to her, those steps led to an unimaginable life. The night wind cut like a cold blade against Nia's skin. Her steps were heavy, aimless, confused. Exhaust fumes from passing cars stung her nose. But she trudged on, as if stopping would collapse the world. The door's slam replayed in her mind. "Don't go back. Begging won't help," she muttered. Darius's averted gaze, his mother's eviction shove, images haunted her. The long sidewalk seemed endless. Streetlights stretched her trembling shadow like one without support. The street wasn't busy, but lively enough to heighten her isolation. Passers-by ignored the black woman with swollen eyes and faltering steps. She gripped her wrinkled sleeves for calm, but her chest burned. "Why this?" she whispered, sighing like a stifled moan. The night deepened. Luxury sedans occasionally passed, their LED lights arrogant. Nia crossed a small overpass, edging a dimly lit main road, seeking a bus stop or bench. But her feet moved instinctively, fleeing the house that deemed her subhuman. Passing a closed strip mall, an engine slowed behind her. Bright lights illuminated her path, elongating her shadow. Nia halted, alert and confused. A luxurious black sedan gleamed, pulling up beside her. The back door stayed shut. Instead, a man in an impeccable suit emerged from the driver's seat. His gaze was penetrating yet non-threatening. In his 30s with short, neatly groomed black hair, his presence clashed with the rainy mess. "Excuse me," his voice smooth and clear. "Are you Ms. Nia?" Nia froze. The formality, the certainty, he knew her. She swallowed. "Yes. Yes, I'm Nia. Who are you? Why are you looking for me?" He stepped back respectfully. "My name is Curtis Bishop. I've come to pick you up." "Pick me up? For what?" "I don't know you." Curtis remained unoffended, sighing softly. "The chairman, Mr. Langston Holloway, wishes to see you. He's asked me to bring you immediately." Nia frowned. The name meant nothing. Chairman Holloway. I don't know him. Silence hung before Curtis met her eyes deeply, as if his next words would upend her world. "He is your father." Nia's world halted. What? Her voice cracked, barely audible.
"My father?"
"That's impossible. My father died when I was little. My mother always said that." Curtis shook his head. "He is alive, and he's been searching for you for a long time. He's also the owner of one of the largest companies in Chicago." The words hammered her consciousness. Breathless, she swayed. The dark street spun. "You must have the wrong person," she trembled. "I'm just nobody." "I haven't made a mistake," Curtis replied softly, assured. "He's prepared everything for this meeting. He doesn't want you to suffer anymore." In Curtis's eyes, understanding flickered. He knew her vulnerability. Nia stared, torn. The dark street versus the open car door, an invitation to another world. Exhaustion, disbelief, faint hope swirled. Shivering, she faced two choices: wander aimlessly or follow this sudden path. It might hold lifetime answers. Swallowing, she took a shaky breath. "Okay, I'll go with you," she whispered. Curtis gestured politely, widening the door. Nia entered slowly, inhaling warm leather contrasting the cold. The door closed softly. The car glided away, leaving the lonely sidewalk. Nia closed her eyes briefly, unaware her life had veered unexpectedly. The car's interior felt luxurious yet strange. City lights danced across her face through windows. Tremors lingered in her fingertips from the street. Encounter where Bishop uttered her name in those words. Now, in the back seat, warmth enveloped her against the freezing night. Bishop drove steadily, glancing via rearview mirror. "Are you comfortable, ma'am?" he asked cautiously. Nia turned slowly. "Please explain everything properly," she pleaded quietly. "What's going on?" "Why say Chairman Holloway is my father? My mother always said he died." Bishop inhaled deeply. "I understand this is difficult, but it's true. He's your biological father without doubt." Nia shook her head. "It can't be. My mother wouldn't lie my whole life." "No one wants to lie," Bishop replied gently. "Sometimes circumstances force hiding the truth. He's searched for years." Nia fidgeted with her hem nervously. "Why now? Why didn't I know? Why today, after all this terrible stuff?" Her voice bitter, Bishop slowed subtly. "Today he found you with certainty. Previous information was incomplete. Recently a document connected everything. Your mother's name, old address, and you." Nia straightened, untangling confusion. "Why say he was dead?" "That was the story. He was sick, died when I was a baby." Her voice trembled with rage and uncertainty. Bishop eyed the mirror. "I can't fully explain your mother's reasons, but their separation was complicated." "How complicated?" Nia insisted. "I have a right to know." Bishop chose words carefully. "They didn't separate because of you or because he didn't want you. Opposite, he regrets losing the chance to raise you." Nia silenced. Words sank in, but acceptance lagged. A chasm separated her childhood belief from this new reality. "Mr. Bishop," she weakened. "What proof? I can't believe. Too sudden." Bishop nodded, prepared. He opened a compartment, retrieving a thin folder. "I knew you'd ask." Nia held her breath as he passed it. "Look." She opened it. An old photo of a young black man holding a baby resembling her childhood pictures. Eyes, cheeks identical. Backside note. "For me, Nia, Daddy will always love you." Nia's voice cracked. "This is me." Bishop nodded certainly. "He's kept it decades. It fueled his search." Nia touched the photo tremblingly. No memory surfaced, just vague warmth, real or illusion. "Why now?" Calmer, pained. "He's ready. Bishop said, waited for the right moment to ensure safety. When he learned, he paused, avoiding her eviction. He knew I was kicked out. Bishop, frankly, he knew you were hurt. That spurred action. Silence settled. Car hummed softly. Nia opened eyes, gaze questioning but clearer. Does he really want me? He's waited all night, Bishop unhesitating. Wants you safe? Nia breathed deeply. City lights shifted, as if her dark world cracked for hope. Unready, unknowing what awaited, but one certainty, no longer street alone. Truth beckoned down the road. The car distanced downtown Chicago, entering quieter streets with yellow lights like endless threads. Nia leaned back, clutching the photo. The man's face tightened her chest. Shocked her dead father lived, waited. Amid shock, warmth pierced thought fog, a small, untouchable hope. Bishop broke silence calmly. Trip takes longer, estate far from center. Nia nodded, window staring. Okay, processing. Bishop understanding, natural impact. Nia, scared, hopes too high, misunderstanding. Fear human, Bishop road focused. Promise, no lies where we're going. He truly wants you. Heart skipped. Photo man held baby proudly, expression rare in her loves. Not Darius. Darius's eviction flashed, cold stare, mother's ruthlessness. Hurt dulled slightly. Something changed. Mr. Bishop, quietly. What did he say about me? After finding anything on who I am now? Bishop thought. One thing, I just want my daughter not alone anymore. He mirrored. Not past interested, future focused. Nia hand-covered mouth, emotions waving. No cry, but tears blurred lights. Don't know if deserve, murmured. Every child deserves parent love, Bishop calm. You too. Faint smile on Nia's face. First in ages. Thank you. Don't know how act later. Be yourself, Bishop reassured. He's prepared. Nia road watched, dark but reassuring. Estate big? Light diversion. Quite, slight smile. Don't pressure. Not just house, memories full. Nia photo gazed, known and hidden past nearing collision. Live alone? Curiosity growing. With staff, immediate family. Quick look. Just you. Nia, just me? Yes, no hesitation. Only one. Words hit deep. Grown believing, none but late mother. Phrase shook foundations. Not tragedy, new door. Minutes later, massive gate passed. Long driveway, garden lights to grand house. Modern, classic elegance. Authority, wealth. Heart wild. Bishop mirrored. Almost there. Nia nodded. Photo anchoring storm. Car slowed, stopped main door. World shifted. Old oppression vanished. New awaited. Bishop engine off. Ready? Soft. Understanding. Nia breathed, nodded. Open door. First step to unimaginable life. Nia steps light but shaky entering grand house. Warm wood, subtle vanilla tea scent, comforted emotional exhaustion. In car, repeated life change, but shape unimaginable. Clear, first door. Bishop beside, gesturing to ajar room. Crystal chandelier light filtered softly. Chairman waiting inside, quietly. Wait outside. Nia nodded, breathed, touched, pushed door. Spacious room, simple decor. Left bookshelf. Right black-white photos, cream sofa. Middle-aged black man sat, tired but upright. Graying temples, strong, dignified face. Stood slowly, afraid fast move shatter moment. Nia, low, incredulous. Heart shrank. Yes, trembled. I'm Nia. Approached, stopped yard away. Eyes teary, long-held loss. My God, whispered. Grown so much. Words evaporated. Questions, pain, confusion. Small voice. Mother said you died. Closed eyes, sentence striking history. No reasons, don't blame. Please listen. Never stopped looking. Not one day. Throat burned, tears held, afraid collapse. Really, daughter? Small smile, emotion cracked. Pocketed silver locket opened. Same baby photo beside young black woman, mother. Kept since birth, said. Only thing carried everywhere. Nia touched slowly. Mine, if accept gently. Mother gave before apart. Eyes closed, mother memory. Warm, soft, secret sad gaze. Prolonged looks now sensed. Why never tell, murmured. Long heavy sigh. Wasn't good husband. Ambitions chased. Realized money, status. No replace family, too late. Mother left, no see you. Eyes opened. Grew without father. Gaze crumbled. No, quick. Tried years, cut contact. Moved, searched documents, records, confusing till City Hall matched name, time. Chest mixed sadness, warmth, not abandoned. Why now? Grown, changed. Think didn't want since little? Voice breaking. Opportunity question. Heard hurt, couldn't idle. Not late again. Head lowered. Don't know, act. Half step, space maintained. Nothing. Be self. Angry? Listen. Blame? Accept. Not ready? Wait. One thing. Hug daughter. Tears fell. Not emotion alone. Exhaustion, pain, loss alleviating. Slow step. Arms opened. Nia leaned. Hug from unseen but familiar father. Warm, unhurried, demandless. Hug sought lifelong. Daddy sorry, whispered, voice cracked. Nia clung jacket, sobs held. Don't know what do, don't hate. Closed eyes, grateful. Enough. First since eviction, destroyed world rebuildable beside lifelong waiter. Nia felt her legs tremble as she stepped out of the car in front of the grand estate. The massive wrought iron gates had closed silently behind them, sealing off the world she had known. The driveway stretched long and perfectly manicured, lined with soft garden lights that cast golden pools on the dark pavement. The house itself rose like a quiet monument, modern lines softened by classic stonework. Tall windows glowing warmly against the night. It was beautiful, but to Nia it felt like stepping into someone else's dream. Curtis Bishop walked beside her, his presence steady and unobtrusive. He didn't rush her, didn't speak unless necessary. When they reached the wide double doors, two staff members in crisp uniforms opened them with a slight bow. "Welcome, Miss Nia," one said softly. Nia managed only a small nod, her throat too tight for words. The foyer was breathtaking, high ceilings, marble floors so polished they reflected her hesitant figure like a mirror. A subtle scent of sandalwood and fresh flowers drifted through the air. Everything was orderly, elegant, expensive. Nia suddenly felt small again, like an intruder who had wandered in by mistake. "If you feel uncomfortable, just tell me," Curtis said quietly, glancing at her. "It's not that I'm uncomfortable," she whispered back. "It's just so big. I've never been inside a place like this." Curtis gave a small, understanding sigh. "It takes time. Anyone would feel overwhelmed walking into this world suddenly." A staff member approached, hands clasped respectfully. "Mr. Bishop, the chairman is waiting in the lounge. He has asked us to prepare a special room for Miss Nia." Nia's eyes widened slightly. "A room? For me?" "Yes, miss," the staff member replied. "The chairman wishes you to rest whenever you need." Curtis gave her a subtle look that said, "Relax. Just go with it." They followed the staff member down a long hallway lined with large paintings and framed photographs, some black and white, some in color. Nia caught glimpses of a younger Langston Holloway, strong-jawed, ambitious-looking, holding awards, shaking hands with important people. She wondered how many of those moments had happened while she was growing up, believing he was dead. The staff member's eyes followed her with quiet curiosity, as though trying to piece together who this new arrival was. "Do they know who I am?" Nia whispered to Curtis. "The chairman has given instructions," he answered softly. "They don't know the full details, but they've been told you are a very important guest." "Oh," she said, lowering her head. Being important felt foreign. Until now, she had spent her life trying to be invisible. They reached the lounge. The staff member asked them to wait a moment. "The chairman will be with you shortly." Nia sat on the edge of a plush sofa, rubbing her cold hands together. The room was large yet warm, soft rugs, a faint sandalwood scent from a diffuser, shelves of leather-bound books. She felt like she had stepped into a movie set. Footsteps approached. But instead of Langston, another staff member appeared. "Miss, the chairman has asked that I show you to your room first, so you may leave your things or rest if needed." Nia glanced uncertainly at Curtis. "Will you come with me?" she asked, almost childlike. "Of course," he replied, standing. They followed the staff member upstairs. At the end of a wide corridor stood a dark wood door with delicate carvings. "This is the room the chairman has chosen," the employee said, opening it. Nia froze in the doorway. The room was larger than any apartment she had ever lived in. A king-sized bed with crisp white sheets dominated one side. A polished desk sat near a bookshelf. A small sitting area with two armchairs faced a balcony overlooking the back garden. Soft lighting bathed everything in a gentle glow. A fresh bouquet of white lilies stood on the nightstand. "If you need anything, just press this button," the staff member said, indicating a discreet panel on the wall. "We will come immediately." Nia could only nod. When the staff member left, she sat slowly on the edge of the bed, touching the smooth fabric. "Mr. Bishop," she whispered, "I don't understand this. Why is all this prepared for me? It's barely been a day since I found out my father is alive." Curtis leaned against the wall, hands in his pockets. Chairman Holloway has regretted the lost years for a long time. Perhaps this is his way of trying to make up for it. "But it feels like a dream," Nia said. It's too fast. It is fast, Curtis agreed, but you don't have to accept everything immediately. You have the right to be confused. Nia looked toward the balcony. The wind gently moved the leaves of trees near a small pond. I'm afraid this world will swallow me whole. Everything is so different. Curtis's voice softened. Ms. Nia, this is your place now. You don't have to change overnight. You can take it little by little. She nodded. Though her heart still trembled, something inside her began to stir. Not fear alone, but curiosity. Interest in knowing more, in understanding what awaited her here. She took a deep breath. Let's go see my father, she said finally. Curtis nodded, and they left the room, heading back toward the lounge. For the first time since arriving, Nia felt a small thread of strength weave through her uncertainty. The lounge door was open now. Warm light spilled into the hallway. Nia paused at the threshold. Curtis gave her a gentle nod and stepped back, allowing her this moment alone. Langston Holloway stood near the large window, looking out into the night. When he heard her footsteps, he turned. His face, strong, lined with years and regret, softened the instant he saw her. Nia, he said again, as though saying her name was still a miracle. She stepped inside. The door closed softly behind her. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Langston took a slow step forward, stopping a respectful distance away. My God, he whispered. Look how much you've grown. Tears stung Nia's eyes, but she held them back. My mother said you had died. Langston closed his eyes briefly, as if the words still carried the weight of decades. I know your mother had her reasons, he said quietly. And I don't want to blame her. But please, Nia, listen to me. I never stopped looking for you, not for a single day. Nia's throat burned. Am I really your daughter? Langston gave a small, trembling smile. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a silver locket. He opened it carefully. Inside was the same baby photo. Curtis had shown her in the car, next to a portrait of a young woman who was unmistakably her mother. I've kept this since the day you were born, he said. It's the only thing I carried with me everywhere. Nia touched the locket with shaking fingers. It's mine. If you'll accept it, Langston replied gently. Your mother gave it to me before everything fell apart. Nia closed her eyes. Memories of her mother surfaced. Warm smiles, long looks filled with unspoken sadness. The times her mother had stared at her for too long, as though memorizing her face. Why did she never tell me? She murmured. Langston let out a long, heavy sigh. Because back then I wasn't a good husband. I was too busy chasing ambition, building the company. When I finally realized that money and status could never replace family, it was too late. Your mother left. She wouldn't let me see you. Nia opened her eyes. So you let me grow up without a father. Langston's gaze cracked. No, he said quickly. I tried for years. She moved, changed her name slightly, cut all contact. I searched through old documents, administrative records, anything I could find. It was confusing, scattered. Until recently, someone found an old City Hall record that matched your mother's name to yours. That was when I knew it was time. A strange mix of sadness and warmth filled Nia's chest. Sadness for the years lost. Warmth because for the first time, she understood she hadn't truly been abandoned. Why now? She asked softly. After I've grown up, after everything has changed so much? Do you think I didn't want to see you since you were little? Langston's voice broke. This isn't about time, Nia. It was about opportunity. And when I heard you were hurt, I couldn't stand by anymore. I didn't want to be late again. Nia lowered her head. I don't know how to act. Langston took half a step closer but kept space between them. You don't have to do anything. Just be yourself. If you want to be angry, I'll listen. If you want to blame me, I'll accept it. If you're not ready, I'll wait. But there is only one thing I want to do. He raised a trembling hand. Hug my daughter. Tears finally spilled down Nia's cheeks, not just from emotion, but from the sudden release of exhaustion, pain, and years of quiet loss. She took one slow step forward. Langston opened his arms. Nia leaned in, letting herself be held by a father she had never known, but who somehow felt familiar. The hug was warm, unhurried, without demands, just the embrace. She had unknowingly searched for her entire life. Daddy's sorry, Langston whispered, his voice cracking completely. Nia clung to his jacket, holding back sobs. I don't know what I should do, she said, but I don't hate you. Langston closed his eyes, grateful. That's enough. For the first time since the door had slammed behind her, the world that had shattered her began to feel rebuildable, piece by piece, beside someone who had waited for her all his life. The next morning dawned soft and gray over Chicago. Nia woke in the unfamiliar luxury of her new room. sunlight filtering through sheer curtains. For a moment she lay still, letting the events of the previous night settle over her like a heavy blanket. Her father was alive. She had a home. She had a name that carried weight. And yet none of it felt real. She rose slowly, showered, and found clothes laid out for her, simple. Elegant pieces in soft neutrals that fit perfectly. Someone had taken her measurements in her sleep, or perhaps guessed from her build. Either way, it unnerved her slightly. Downstairs, breakfast waited in a sunlit dining room. Langston was already there, reading a tablet, a cup of coffee in hand. When he saw her, he set everything aside and stood. "Good morning, Nia." "Good morning," she replied quietly, taking a seat across from him. They ate in a careful silence at first. Then Langston spoke. "I don't expect you to jump into anything. You've been through enough. But when you're ready, there are things I'd like to show you. About the company, about our family." Nia nodded slowly. "I'm not sure I'm ready for all of that yet." "You don't have to be," he said. "But you're part of this now, and I want you to feel safe here." After breakfast, Curtis appeared. "Chairman Holloway has asked me to begin assisting you today," he said. "Whenever you're ready, we can start with the basics." "Basics?" Nia asked. "Understanding how things work here, the company, the expectations, your place in it." Nia glanced at her father. Langston gave a small nod. "Only when you want," he said. "No pressure." She took a breath. "Okay, let's start." The rest of the morning passed in a quiet study room. Curtis sat across from her with a tablet. "First," he said, "you need to understand that you've come from a place where you were made to feel small. That habit is still in you. We're going to work on changing how you see yourself." He played a short recording from the previous night, Nia speaking to one of the staff members. Her voice was hesitant, full of pauses, filled with unnecessary apologies. Nia's eyes widened. "That's me?" "Yes," Curtis said without judgment. "You ask permission too often, even when it isn't needed. It's a reflex from being marginalized for so long." Nia wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. Years under Darius's indifference and his mother's cruelty had taught her to shrink, to put others first, even when she was the one wronged. Curtis continued, "Let's start simple. Repeat after me. I understand your opinion, but my perspective is different. Say it firmly." Nia tried. Her voice came out too soft. Curtis shook his head gently. Again, stronger. She repeated it. Better this time, clearer, steadier. "Good," Curtis said. "You have to start believing your opinion matters." They moved to posture. When you sit, don't curl in. Back straight, shoulders relaxed. You're not a guest afraid of bothering someone. Nia adjusted. It felt awkward, like wearing clothes that didn't quite fit yet. But slowly, she began to feel the difference. Curtis then role-played scenarios. Imagine you're meeting a company director who wants confirmation on a decision the chairman made. How would you respond? Nia thought. "I'd greet him and wait for him to speak." "That's polite," Curtis said. "But you need authority too. Try this. Yes, thank you for the information. Please send me the agenda so I can prepare." Nia repeated it. The words felt foreign but powerful. They worked for hours. Tone of voice, choice of words, walking with purpose, responding to pressure without shrinking. Curtis corrected patiently, never harshly. At one point, Nia paused, looking out the window at the sprawling garden. "Honestly," she said, "I don't know if I can ever be like the people in this house." Curtis stood beside her. "You don't have to be like them. You have to be yourself without letting anyone step on you again." Nia looked at her hands. "I want to change. But change feels hard. It doesn't have to be fast," Curtis said. "It just has to be constant. You'll get there. And your father will be proud, but more importantly, you'll be proud of yourself." They continued until late afternoon. Nia was exhausted, but something inside her had shifted. A small space once empty was beginning to fill with possibility. That night, alone in her room, Nia stood before the full-length mirror. The woman looking back was still her. Same face, same eyes, but different. Her shoulders were straighter, her gaze held steady. A quiet confidence flickered in her expression, fragile but real. "Can I do this?" she whispered to her reflection. And for the first time in years, she answered herself, "Yes, I think I can." But the past wasn't finished with her yet. Her phone vibrated on the nightstand. An unknown number. Nia hesitated, then opened the message. "Did you think you could just escape like that?" Her blood turned cold. Her fingers trembled slightly. The words felt like a hand reaching from her old life, trying to drag her back down. She typed slowly, "Who is this?" The reply came almost instantly. "Don't play dumb. You owe me an explanation." Nia turned off the screen, heart racing. Faces flashed through her mind. Darius, his mother, old neighbors who had watched her leave with nothing. She stood and paced the room. "No," she whispered. "I can't panic. Not now." The phone buzzed again. "We need to talk. You can't hide in that big house forever." Nia stared at the screen. The new life she had only just begun to claim suddenly felt fragile. But she remembered Curtis's words. "The past will knock again. What matters is how you answer." She typed carefully. "Stop texting me. I don't know you." Silence. No new messages for several minutes. Nia began to hope it was a cruel prank. Then another buzz. "Then I'm coming to find you." Fear spiked through her. She looked toward the door, half expecting someone to appear. The house was large, guarded, secure, but Darius had once made her feel powerless in a much smaller space. What if someone else knew how to find her weaknesses? She covered her mouth, steadying her breath. Then she made a decision. She wouldn't crumble alone. She opened a message to Curtis. "Mr. Bishop, could you come to the second floor? I need to ask you something." His reply was immediate. "On my way." While she waited, Nia hugged herself, forcing slow breaths. She refused to let the old fear win. A soft knock came. "Miss Nia?" Curtis's calm voice. "Come in." He entered, saw her pale face, and closed the door. "What's wrong?" Nia handed him the phone without speaking. Curtis read the messages, his expression hardening. "Since when?" "Just tonight." "Do you have any idea who it might be?" She shook her head. "The number's unknown, but the tone. It feels like someone who knows I was alone before." Curtis sat on the chair near her bed. "If this person truly meant harm, they wouldn't announce it. They're trying to frighten you." He met her eyes. "We haven't shared your location with anyone. Access to this estate is tightly controlled." Nia leaned back against the headboard. "I'm trying to be stronger, but messages like this pull me right back." Curtis moved closer. "Change doesn't erase the past overnight. The past will knock. What matters is your response." Nia exhaled shakily. "Before I was afraid because I had nothing. Now, I'm afraid because I don't want to lose what I've just started to have." Curtis's voice was firm. "That is progress. You're no longer afraid from weakness. You're afraid because you have something worth protecting." The words landed deeply. Nia looked at the phone again. The threatening message still glowed on the screen, but its power felt smaller. "If they really come," she said quietly, "I'm not running anymore." A small smile touched Curtis's lips. "That is the new Miss Nia." Nia lifted her chin. Tension and old wounds remained, but a new spark burned brighter. The past might try to reclaim her, but this time she would meet it standing tall. The morning sun poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Nia's office on the top floor of Sterling Tower. Chicago, sprawled beneath her rivers of steel and glass, streets pulsing with life. She stood on the private balcony for a long moment, letting the cool breeze wash over her face. Today was not just another day. Today she officially stepped into the role of director and heir apparent of the Sterling Group. She had spent the previous weeks in intense preparation, learning balance sheets, understanding market positions, meeting key executives, absorbing the rhythm of a world that moved at a different speed. Curtis had been her constant guide, patient yet unrelenting. Langston had watched from a distance, never pushing, but always present when she needed reassurance. Nia straightened the collar of her tailored navy blazer, smoothed the front of her cream trousers, and took one last breath. "This is the beginning," she whispered to herself. Then she turned and walked back inside. The executive boardroom was already full when she entered. Every head turned, not out of obligation, but genuine respect. The aura she carried now was different. Calm, centered, commanding without raising her voice. She took her place at the head of the long table. "Good morning, everyone," she began, voice clear and steady. "Today we're not just reviewing numbers. We're redefining direction." She clicked to the first slide. Charts, projections, timelines appeared behind her. But more than data, she spoke of purpose. "We've been strong financially for decades," she said. "Now we must be strong in impact. I want Sterling Group to lead not only in profit, but in opportunity, especially for those who've been left behind. We start with 3 initiatives: workforce training programs for underserved communities, expanded mental health support for employees, and a dedicated foundation for survivors of domestic violence." She paused, letting the room absorb her words. "I know what it feels like to be at the bottom," she continued quietly. "To have every door closed, to believe you're invisible. I've lived it. And because I've lived it, I refuse to let anyone else feel that way if we can prevent it." Silence followed, deep, respectful silence. Then applause broke out, Not polite clapping, but genuine, sustained recognition. When the meeting ended, several senior executives lingered to speak with her personally. One older gentleman, a longtime board member, shook her hand firmly. "I've sat through hundreds of presentations in my career," he said. "Few have moved me like yours today. You carry something real, Ms. Holloway." Nia smiled softly. "Thank you. I still have a lot to learn, but I intend to earn every bit of trust you're giving me." Later that afternoon, the press conference hall on the ground floor buzzed with anticipation. Cameras flashed, journalists adjusted microphones, live feeds streamed to screens around the city and beyond. The Sterling Group logo loomed large behind the podium. Nia walked out alone. No fanfare, just her, poised, elegant in ivory silk, eyes clear and unafraid. The room quieted instantly. "I am not here because I was born into this position," she began. "I am here because life tested me, severely, and I chose to rise anyway. The most important lesson I've learned is this: falling is not the end. How we choose to stand back up is what defines us." She spoke for 20 minutes, clear, measured, powerful. She outlined the new social responsibility programs, answered questions with calm precision, and never once faltered. When the final question came, "Director Holloway, what message do you have for people watching who feel stuck? Who feel they've lost everything?" Nia looked directly into the cameras. "You are not invisible," she said. "Your pain is real, but it is not your permanent address. There is strength in you that you haven't met yet. Keep walking, one step, then another. The life you deserve is waiting on the other side of your courage." The room erupted in applause. Cameras captured every second of her quiet, unshakable grace. That evening, Nia stood alone on the same balcony where she had begun her day. The city lights glittered like scattered stars. She felt no need to prove anything anymore. She had closed the chapter of victimhood, not with revenge, but with purpose. Her phone buzzed. "A message from Curtis. Chairman would like to see you in the study when you return." She smiled faintly and headed home. Langston waited in the quiet study, fire crackling in the hearth. When she entered, he stood and embraced her without words. Then he pulled back, eyes shining. "You were extraordinary today," he said. "I've never been prouder." Nia sat beside him. "I just tried to do what felt right." "You did more than that," he replied. "You showed the world and me what true leadership looks like." They talked for a long time, about the future, about the past. They were finally healing together. For the first time, Nia felt the weight of old wounds lift completely. She was no longer defined by what had been done to her. She was defined by what she chose to build. Weeks passed. The Sterling Group's new initiatives launched with widespread praise. Nia's face appeared in business magazines, charity galas, community events. She moved through each space with quiet authority, always listening more than speaking, always prioritizing impact over image. One afternoon, she sat on the 13th floor terrace, reviewing reports when Curtis approached. "There's someone here to see you," he said carefully. Security was hesitant, but he insisted. "It's Darius." Nia's breath caught for only a second. Then she nodded. "Let him up." Darius appeared moments later, thinner, tired, clothes slightly wrinkled. The arrogance she once knew was gone, replaced by something raw and broken. He stopped several feet away, hands in his pockets, eyes on the floor. "Nia," he said hoarsely, I didn't know if you'd even agree to see me." She remained seated, posture calm. "You're here, speak." Darius swallowed hard. "I've lost everything. My job, the house, my pride. I thought kicking you out would make my life better. I was wrong. So wrong." His voice cracked. "Every night I see your face when the door closed. I see how I humiliated you, how I let my mother, how we both treated you like you were nothing." He looked up, eyes wet. "When I saw you on television, when I heard what you said, I realized you were always stronger than me. I came to say I'm sorry, truly sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know." Nia studied him for a long moment. The man who once held power over her now stood fragile, exposed. "Darius," she said evenly, "did you come here to apologize? Or to explain how much you're suffering so I'll feel sorry for you?" He flinched. I just wanted to say I regret it. All of it." "Then be honest," she replied. "You don't regret hurting me. You regret the consequences you're living with now." Darius had no answer. Nia stood and walked closer, stopping just out of reach. "Before," she said softly, "I waited for you to see my worth. You chose not to. Now I don't need your recognition. I don't need your regret. I don't need your excuses. My life has already been placed back in the right hands, mine." A tear slipped down Darius's cheek. Nia's voice remained gentle but firm. I forgive you, Darius. Not for your sake, for mine. So I can walk forward without carrying old chains. He stared at her, stunned. But hear me clearly, she continued. Starting today, you and the past have no place in my life. Go, build whatever life you can. I'm doing the same. Darius nodded slowly, shoulders sagging. Thank you. And I'm sorry. For everything. He turned and left. Nia watched until the door closed behind him. Then she turned back to the city view, breathing deeply. No anger, no triumph, only quiet release. Months later, the national news carried a story about the opening of Haven House, a modern shelter for women escaping domestic violence. Nia had personally funded much of it, using part of her inheritance. She stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, elegant and composed, speaking briefly to the press. I believe a person who has been hurt does not have to become someone who hurts others, she said. Old wounds are not justification for revenge. They are reason to rise, and to help others rise too. From their cramped rental apartment on the city's edge, Darius and his mother watched the broadcast in silence. Neither spoke for a long time. Finally, Darius's mother whispered, her voice trembling, "She's better than we ever were." Darius nodded slowly. She always was. We just couldn't see it. On the screen, Nia smiled. Small, genuine, serene. No trace of bitterness. Only purpose. That night, Nia returned to the estate. She walked through the quiet halls, past the photographs of her father's life, past the room that had once felt so foreign. She stepped onto her balcony and looked out at the city lights. For the first time in her life, she felt truly free, not because the past had vanished, but because she had chosen to let it go. She whispered to the night air, "This is the life I was meant to live." And somewhere deep inside, she knew it was only the beginning. If you were moved by Nia's journey, from abandonment to empowerment, from pain to purpose, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive.